public, it's a one for all for one kind of a system where you are actually paying average premium for the entire population. It's a tip for some of the expats who are watching. If you are looking for faster appointments in public, I'm not talking about private, it's better to choose.
One of the other thing that I usually hear is that once you switch to a private health insurance, it's very difficult to get back to a public health insurance. Is it true or is it a...
Yes, it is absolutely true. It is true. It is not like you can never come back to public, but
As an expat in Germany, all of us might have heard about private health insurance. When we come to Germany as a student or as a professional, usually we start with public health insurance. However, with time, we heard this term called private health insurance, but we do not know much of the information about what exactly is this. In today's episode, we have with us an expert who is a financial consultant and is going to speak about private health insurance and let us exactly know what this is, what are the benefits. So without any further ado, let us welcome the guest of today's episode, Shivananda Halladamath, who is with us to share his expertise on this topic. Hi Shivananda, welcome to the podcast.
Hi Kiran. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, it's nice to have you here because this is one of the most, let's say, conflicting topic as well as topic with little bit of controversies because people exactly do not know when to choose public health insurance and when to switch to a private health insurance.
Right. Yeah. So you actually told me I'm the expert. I wouldn't call myself expert, but I can say that I have experienced enough in this space to say what is right and what is wrong.
Okay.
Maybe we can also discuss both positives and negatives in this particular show. This could be of interest for your audience as well. Right?
Yeah.
So, but before I start, maybe I'll give a quick introduction about me. I'm originally from Karnataka, Bangalore, and been in Germany is close to 9+ years now. Came as a student, experienced both the social security of the Germany as a student, as a employee, and then now as a freelancer as well. Like I said, I've experienced enough to talk about this topic. That's how I would consider myself rather than calling myself an expert.
What interests me is that you came here as a student,
right?
But then you switched to a financial consultant background,
right?
So how did this happen and what motivated you to help expats in this regard?
That's a very good question. So I did my bachelor's in India as a mechanical engineer. I was an aerospace engineer, worked in a very good, very well-known US company. And then I came here for master's in mechatronics, also in Siegen. Did robotics as a specialization and worked for a robotics company. But it was always, thanks to my university, my language is something which I improved very quickly. And also my ex-colleagues, I really improved my language very fast. So my friends were always asking this, whether it is the right thing to do, or they used to pass on certain contracts or anything like this. So I, being typical engineer, the nerd in me was always saying that, hey, let's review this, or whatever it is. And then later I realized that there is a proper Ausbildung which you have to do in order to do these consultation and things like that. So that's how I made a transition, and later I liked this particular field, talking to people, helping to people with whatever I could, providing as honest as information as possible. So that's how I made this particular transition. It's been 4 years. I have nothing to complain. Hopefully it will remain the same.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting field of work wherein you are in a position to help many of the expats who are unaware of the benefits that different topics bring in Germany.
Right.
That being said, why should someone watch this particular episode until the end?
Right.
What would the viewers gain out of this episode?
Right. So the topic public and private, I think you already mentioned, it's the most discussed topic on internet. I have seen a lot of forums, it's always split. Mostly it is towards public. But nevertheless, I wouldn't say public is bad and private is good and everyone should make a switch to private health insurance. That's one of the most stupid statement I would make, if at all, if I'm making that statement. So it is better to understand what is beneficial for each person and where that person can make a switch, if at all his situation or her situation allows you to do so. Maybe out of this particular session, one can gain insights of each insurance world. So I mean, maybe to be honest, on this particular show as well, I was actually thinking when I was traveling here that every story has two sides of the coin, the positive side and the negative side. But when it comes to private, very specifically, I would say there is three sides of the coin, right? One is the consumer perspective, whereas you as an insurance taker, this is where you would experience. I mean, the seller perspective, that is where financial advisors like me, and there are many other good advisors as well, providing very nice advice as well. So that is their perspective. And the third perspective, which we always forget, is the doctor's perspective, who's treating you, because that is where they are getting paid as well, right? So if possible, maybe this is a small advice from my side, that you can also bring the other two perspective as well in the following episodes as well, right? So we'll try to understand all the three perspective. Of course, me being the agent or me being the advisor, it will be a little bit biased. I mean, I don't know, maybe we'll let the audience decide that particular bias, whether that is there or not. So, but then me as a I'm insured in private, so I can also give that particular perspective as well. And and then if you find any doctor, probably bring him to the show and then also ask his or her perspective why they would prefer what.
Okay, right. So then it's very clear to start with that the viewers today can probably make a more informed decision,
right,
if they watch this episode, and then in future they can help themselves.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think it's a great foundation to start with. That being said, I think many of us as an expat have no clue like what exactly is a private health insurance. So maybe we can start with that.
Right. So in Germany, we have two systems, private and public. By default, I think, public is what everyone is insured in. To come to private, there is a lot of criteria as well. One is the salary criteria, of course. Or you could be also a freelancer without any salary criteria. And that criteria keeps changing every year. We already know next year it's going to be a huge jump in the salary criteria to come to private, to qualify to private. Now, that is not only the criteria, it's also your health condition as well, which is actually thoroughly checked before you make into private, right? There are questions related to your surgery, past surgery, not only physical surgery which you might happen, also mental health is also checked, and some kind of addiction related to alcohol, drug addiction, or whatever it is, that is also checked thoroughly before you make a switch into private, so to say, right? And of course, there are tons of providers in the market these days. Last time I checked, I think it was last month I checked, there are 42 private health insurance providers in Germany. And on the contrary, there are 96 public health insurance provider in Germany, right? So, but whereas the 96 public health insurance provider, the coverage is actually determined by more or less by the government, whereas the private is, each company has its own decision to make what is covered and what is not covered, right? So there are multiple criteria. I would say salary is one of the criteria. Second one is whether your condition allows, and some indirect criteria is your family planning as well. It could be very expensive if you are planning to have multiple kids. And also age is a very big criteria, which I always tell to my clients as well. Anyone below 40, 42 is an ideal person to consider thinking in private. Beyond that, I would say the cost advantage is never there for private. Irrespective of which company it is, we can always see this as well. And beyond 55, the law really says that it is impossible to move to private.
Okay. Right? Yeah. I think it's very interesting already, because I never knew that there are multiple criterias. For me, as a student, I always heard that salary of some amount is the foremost important thing, and no one speaks about the other three factors that you spoke about.
Right.
That being said, who should switch to a private health insurance, or when does it help to switch, and when does it help to stay in a public
Right.
health insurance.
Right. So if you are a single person earning a very good salary beyond the defined limit, obviously you can consider switching to private. But again, health should also allow you. But having said that, it is never a straight line, so to say, because your life situation keeps changing, so to say. So you need to have a fair idea of where your life is heading towards. Now, I know a lot of people who say, I would like to have 2-3 kids or something. I don't know whether it is emotionally feasible to have many kids these days. But yeah, there are people who really consider that. In that case, we generally say, it's better to stay in public, because there is a family insurance concept in public, where you get free of cost insurance for all your financially dependent people, so to say, right? But having said that, there are set of clients as well, or people as well. They say, kids is something which we would like to avoid, or probably one kid or something like this, and both husband and wife working. That is also ideal case where you can consider looking into private.
It's very nice to know that there are certain informations that is not usually available, and therefore before making any step, it depends on the personal situation whether to choose private or public.
Correct.
Most of the times we feel that it is not a personal situation which is more important, and we think it's only the salary or something.
Right.
Therefore, I feel in this case, if it depends on the situation individual is in, then it's always better to go to advisors and get some more information whether it's beneficial or not. You also touched upon an important point that the premium depends on the age, and also age is an important factor.
Correct.
So is it a myth, or what exactly does a private health insurance has to do with the premium and the age of the person?
Right. So this is a very important point which you brought up. One is the tariff depends on your entry age. Okay. The moment your entry age happens, it no longer depends on, of course, to enter into private, you need to have the salary criteria, you have the entry age. In ideal world, it should remain constant, but we never live in ideal world, because you always have medical inflation as well, right? So the tariff is allowed to increase because of medical inflation as well, right? So it doesn't depend on your age. As in, there is a myth that as in when you become older and older, your tariff keeps increasing. It's because of the medical inflation mainly. Okay. But having said that, can tariff increase exponentially due to your age? Some of the insurers I have seen personally that they increase as and when almost every year, so to say, right?
Okay.
That is where you have to be very, very careful in order to analyze all these internal factors and see the past history of the company, of the certain tariff as well, and then see whether it is a good choice or not.
Public health insurance has nothing to do with the age, right? As far as I understand, it depends on the salary we get, and percentage of it is only that matters.
Correct. So up to a certain value, it's called Beitragsbemessungsgrenze, BBG. Up to that value, yes, of course, it is proportional to your salary, but beyond that point, it also saturates, so to say.
So it never increases after that?
It never increases after that for that financial year. Okay. And as and when you become older and older, it's nothing to do with your age, but rather policymakers decide every year what is the BBG set for every financial year, and each insurance company is also allowed to charge something extra, that we call it a surcharge, and that it is completely dependent on which company you are in, right? Trend says, at least in the last decade you are seeing, or even before that if you are seeing, every year public keeps increasing.
Okay, right. As an example, maybe it helps our viewers to understand exactly the difference between public and private health insurance,
right?
In terms of the amount that is being paid from our salary, let's say. Let's say someone has a salary of 80,000 euros. Now, public health insurance asks somewhere around 18%.
No, it is 14%, 14.6% split between you and your employer equally. Plus, there is a surcharge as well that depends on each and every company. Approximately, it's around 2.5%. That surcharge is mainly on you, not on the employer.
Okay.
So approximately 7.3 and 7.3 up to Beitragsbemessungsgrenze BBG, which is currently 66,150 euros. So 80,000 euro doesn't really matter anymore now. It's only the 66,150 which matters. split between you and your employer.
So it is the 14% of this 66,000.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's it.
This is for a public health insurance perspective, but for a private health insurance, how does this work?
So your salary doesn't matter anymore, right? It matters on which tariff you're choosing. What and also depending on the tariff, you can also add certain top-ups, like you would like chef arts behind. Chef arts is top surgeon or something like this. You want them to attend, or one bedroom treatment or something like this. These are certain top-ups, and there are also certain top-ups like you can have some kind of for your teeth. You can have some advanced composite material to be used for dental filling or root canal treatment or whatever it is. So those are certain top-ups which you can add, and that costs you certain extra. But salary is never the criteria.
Okay. So then in this case, it's already decided that you pay a certain amount per month, and this is decided when you sign the contract.
Correct.
So it's just like buying a SIM card. Let's say you know already what you will pay for the next 2 years.
Correct.
And then you sign the contract.
Right. Right. But this is a very important word. You know what you're paying for. Okay. That, in my experience, this is again probably one advice to the expats I would like to make is always read your contract. Right. Don't assume that anything and everything is covered. And this is very, very important, because I've seen a lot of people, they say, yeah, it's covered. Anything under the sun is covered. No, that's not the case. Right. You have to be very, very clear what is covered. At least that will define what is not covered as well. Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now I understand what's the benefit of a private health insurance. Probably you can correct me if I am wrong. This means that I can choose the bare minimum I think I require and pay very less per month.
Right.
As a private health insurance. And also, if I want to have a lot of things, then I can pay more than public health insurance and have many more things covered. Right. So this is the benefit I see getting through choosing private.
One small correction. Most of the times we have seen that the private, even with the best coverage as well, it is still cheaper than public health insurance.
Okay.
The simple reason is in public it's a one for all for one kind of a system, where you are actually paying average premium for the entire population. Just to give you a perspective, 83 million is the German current population, maybe plus and minus here and there. Approximately 10 to 11% are privately insured, and the rest are in public. Okay, so you take average of the entire huge population. That's why it is a little bit expensive compared to private.
Okay. Yeah. We spoke about multiple benefits of having private and public health insurances. Are there any hidden benefits of choosing a private health insurance which many of us usually do not know?
Right. So again, two sides of the coin. You as a consumer, you would have certain benefits, and that is very clear, because you would have cheaper. Most of the case it is cheaper. And also you would get faster appointments. That is where I would request you to have a doctor's perspective why you would get a faster appointment. And these are the direct benefits which a consumer will face. And there is a other side which is basically the background. There are many studies actually. Your viewers can also watch that as well. The public system is actually surviving, or the health system is actually surviving because of the private patients. And there are many studies which actually prove that as well, because 40% of the clinic, even though 10% of the population are insured in private, 40% of the clinic accept only private patients.
Wow.
And there is a reason for that. The reason is doctors get paid what they are worth for. Private patient gets paid how they are supposed to be treated as a human. Whereas in public, unfortunately, I might say, again, I don't want to talk too much negative about public. It's simply because only generic medicines are really approved in public, and doctors really hardly get paid what they are worth for in public, and that's the whole reason why they don't prefer taking public patient at funds. And every quarter they have a certain budget as well, and they are not allowed to go beyond that budget as well. So that is why it's a tip for some of the expats who are watching. If you are looking for faster appointments in public, I'm not talking about private, it's better to choose starting of the quarter. That is where doctors really get a lot of budget, and you would get a faster appointments. Either it could be complications like MRI, scanning, or any other complex treatment. But again, you cannot plan your when you will fall sick, but this is what it is.
I always heard that having a private health insurance helps in getting appointments quicker.
Correct.
And then also doctors treat slightly differently.
Right.
And I was not sure if it was a myth or has some truth to it, but now I realize that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct. There are again two reasons. One is they get paid faster.
Mm-hmm.
Second thing is they are also allowed to charge more than public patients.
Mm-hmm.
Generally, it is around 2 to 2.3 times to 3.5 times.
Mm-hmm.
I've also seen certain factors like 10 times being charged more than public patients.
Mm-hmm.
A good tariff will generally cover all the factors. It could be multiple times of the normal bill. A good tariff will always cover all the factors. So
okay,
right.
One of the other things that I personally got to hear from my dental doctor was maybe I should have an additional insurance or switch to private health insurance.
Right.
Is it different when doctors deal with cases like dental surgeries or maternity leave
Correct.
or mental illness?
Correct.
Does it have anything to do with the types of insurance that you have?
Correct. So when you talk about private, there are two aspects. One is a top-up insurance,
Mm-hmm.
which always works in supplement with your public health insurance.
Okay.
And there is full private health insurance where you make a complete transition.
Mm-hmm.
That time, none of the supplement insurance will, like, basically your contract will cease to exist, right? Supplement insurance is something which is always suggested for all the from all the doctors. Mm-hmm. Simply because there are dental things are very, very expensive here in Germany. Yeah. And public is hardly covering any of those costs, so they prefer you to have you to top up private insurance. But again, it is not a replacement for full private health insurance. Mm-hmm. Because it covers to a certain extent but not completely. Mm-hmm. Whereas a good private health insurance will cover all the charges what a doctor charges, basically.
Okay.
Right.
Usually when we get to listen, it's always half knowledge and mm-hmm. nobody tries to explain every detail that is involved, and that's where I think it's very nice to have such a conversation wherein we can discuss anything more or less about mm-hmm. this topic. One of the other thing that I usually hear is that once you switch to a private health insurance, it's very difficult to get back to a public health insurance. Is it true or is it a myth?
Yes, it is absolutely true. It
mm-hmm.
is true. It is not like you can never come back to public, mm-hmm. but it is difficult to come back. Mm-hmm. And this is as per law. It's nothing to do related to with the company rules mm-hmm. or something like this. It's simply because one is a solidarity principle, one for all for one kind of a system. Whereas in a private, you are being a little bit selfish, that you are taking care of your own tariff with your age group, so to say, right? That is why government, or let's say, government doesn't want you to take advantage of both the system and then make a switch immediately, right? But there are ways mm-hmm. to come back to public. One is the salary criteria. If some point in time, if the criteria becomes much higher and then your salary doesn't keep up with it, you can always come back to public. You have choice to come back to public. Doesn't mean that you will be forced to come back to public. That is one criteria. Second thing is there is something known as time shifting, mm-hmm. which some of the HRs do offer. They are very nice. Mm-hmm. Is you work as it is, but they pay you only a certain salary mm-hmm. for a fixed amount of months, so that you make the switch to public, and then whatever salary which was mm-hmm. Not paid will be paid in the next month or something like this. Mm-hmm. Or if you lose a job, then you no longer meet that salary criteria. Mm-hmm. You have to come back to public. You can come back to public, not like certain cases you can still remain mm-hmm. in private. So there are ways, but only until 55.
Okay.
Beyond 55, no matter what tricks you use, it's impossible to come back to public.
Okay.
Right.
And who makes the decision? Is it usually the companies like TK, AOK who are involved in giving the contacts?
No, it's never the companies. It's
mm-hmm.
always the government which makes this decision of what should be the salary limit and what should be the entry criteria to private.
Okay, so right. That means irrespective of whether the company wants to give me a type of insurance, they cannot make this final decision.
Companies cannot make the decision. It's always the law.
Okay. Since it is very difficult to get back to public health insurance, have you seen any cases wherein people have made mistake by switching to private health insurance, or what should one generally avoid while switching to private health insurance.
Right. So that's a good point. I think this is where we can also talk a little bit about negative sides of private. So one is switching for the sake of price, right? That I would get a cheaper coverage, or sorry, cheaper tariff over coverage. Making that compromise itself is a biggest mistake, right? And I have seen a lot of expats making this mistake. May not be, I might not need this, I might not need that. This is a small issue which I had in the past, I need not declare this, or something like this. Even though we ask people to be as transparent as possible with respect to health conditions, people do make this mistake, and they try to avoid talking about some of the previous health history, and that is one of the biggest mistake. And I know a lot of real cases where people have done that mistake, and then suffered a lot in order to get their particular reimbursement from the private company. Okay, maybe one of the example I can say without mentioning any of the names or something like this. In the past, it has happened that this XYZ person has said that he was sick because of he was feeling stressful or whatever it is, and that was already mentioned in his health history, right? Okay. So generally, when you actually ask your doctor to give a sickness certificate, maybe for 3 or 4 days because of stress related issue, it's already mentioned as psychological issue, right? And particularly when you go to private, a lot of companies do ask this question, whether you had any kind of illness in the past, and now you declare no, and then make a switch to private health insurance, and then later you fall sick for certain kind of psychological issues or something like this. Private says, no, you have lied before you made this particular switch. We will not cover this. You were never legally covered in the first place, so we have objection not to cover you anymore. And this has happened. This has really happened, right? These are massive pitfalls, and this you need to be absolutely aware. In that case, if you are making a switch, I would say you might as well stay in public. Okay. Do not even think about private.
Yeah, because like I have always heard that you can save so much X amount of money. True. Switch it. Like, what are we even doing? This is the general discussion between students when we study.
Right.
But from what you say, without having the full picture, it's probably not a good option to just switch to save some $100.
Right. So that $100 is also before tax.
Correct.
Right. After tax, you might be not saving $100. Rather, it might be saving maybe a couple of bucks. Right. So it's not worth it. So private intention to move to private has to be always that better. You get a better coverage. Of course, you have no claim bonuses. Of course, you have cheaper tariffs and all those things. Those are all secondary. First, in my opinion, has to be always better coverage compared to public. Right?
It should not be driven in terms of monetary gains.
Yeah, I mean, health insurance, you're buying for health. Are you buying to make money out of it? I mean, yeah, your intention is already incorrect.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, now it all makes sense. But usually, like, I have always heard in terms of monetary gains is what people look at it in general.
Yeah, that is one of the advertisement many insurance companies might also do. You might find my own videos that you would save money or something like this. But these are generally that is
a bonus.
So to say, right? That real reason has to be always better coverage. Okay. Always.
Okay. How does getting into private health insurance help us in long term? Is there any gains that you see as a bonus?
Yes, long term definitely yes. When you are with a good private health insurance, right? You have checked your health questions. You have checked your reimbursement, claim settlement ratio. Third is all the old age provisions and all those things. Private could also be cheaper in your old age as well, right? We have seen certain cases. I mean, they are not my clients, of course. People who are currently retired as well. They're paying also lesser than public health insurance, because public will demand 14.6% of all your income. It could be rental income, capital gains, or whatever it is, right, during your retirement. Whereas private says this is the tariff and this is what we expect for. So if your intention is you have less amount of alternative source of income other than your pension, then it is better to be in public. But if you want to be richer when you retire, then it's a clear choice that you have to make into a good private health insurance. But yeah, there are certain criterias which about old age provisions, everything that needs to be also taken into consideration.
Okay. One of the other important aspect is times are changing with
Mhm.
respect to digitalization and the future itself.
Right.
So, do you see digitalization playing an important role in private or the insurance field itself?
Yes, absolutely yes. It's the right time you are asking this question. As of we are recording this video, next month onwards, it is compulsory for all public health insurance to maintain a digital patient record, which you as a patient can also, check online with their respective apps and everything. You can also see what has been entered, what diagnosis, what is the receipt which is given to doctor, etc. That's the same thing in private as well. You can also ask for that particular information as well and see what has been entered. That, in my opinion, is a game changer because it brings a lot of transparency. It's yeah, that is one thing. And second thing is there is a huge push towards certain apps where both public and private are already there, where you can book appointments online. You can even video call the doctor, etc. Those are teleclinic app, which I would say everyone should benefit. Taking care of those, installing or registering in their particular phones. Yeah.
Yeah, I think when I came to Germany 5 years before, I have seen already the changes that has been taking place. Now to take medicines, they are all already in my card itself rather than getting a slip.
Correct.
So these are sort of drastic changes that is happening with respect to digitalization.
Right.
So that is already very nice. That being said, like, do you see that private and public, this dual system of insurances is here to stay for the long term? Do you see benefit?
This is a controversial discussion which always keeps happening, whether that will be removed, this will be there, or whatever it is. Again, this is my opinion that this system will stay here for very, very long period of time. It's also because doctors really get paid what they deserve with private patients, and they prefer to have private patients for a certain reason, for the same reason for that matter. So this, in my opinion, will remain. And for that matter, I see a huge issue with public health insurance. Not that public is bad, but last year alone, if you look at German government budget, there was approximately 16 to 18 billion euros, which was actually taken from taxpayers' money and put in public health insurance system, right? For the entire system to survive, either there has to be some kind of compromise somewhere. In private, I don't see that particular compromise as far as the system is considered. So I believe this system will remain for a very long time. Yeah.
Okay. So that means, since we, at least in the foreseeable future, we believe that this system remains. So whoever is watching this video, what should be the first question that they should ask themselves before wanting to make a switch to private insurance?
Right. So first question is whether you're switching for your health or are you switching for your mere for cost savings, right? Cost savings is definitely there, but treat this as a priority number 2, right? So second thing is, will my family situation remain the same? Do I intend to have more and more kids, right? Whether my spouse, my better half, will be financially dependent on me after some point in time, right? So if the answer is yes, you will expand your family and then your spouse will be dependent on you or something like this, then I think public is a better system there, right? If the answer is no, then it's better to consider switching to private. And also, if you're already above 40, be very, very careful moving into private. It should be done with a lot of discussion and lot of discussions altogether with your consultant. May not be me, it can be any good consultant, I would say, right? So these are the 3 main criteria, I would say. And of course, health questions, health history, all those things are there, but that anyway you will get to know once you start discussing with your consultant.
Okay,
right.
So I think you clearly explained how to go about this whole process and not just rush into it because of some monetary gains.
Correct.
That being said, what would your advice be with respect to this whole topic of insurance itself to a newbie in Germany? So
yeah, it is a complex topic altogether. It cannot be done. So generally, when we sit on a consultation, each consultation for each customer will happen 2 to 3 weeks, over 2 to 3 weeks. Of course, we don't advise every day or something. We give you certain information, they can check and all those things. So this is always there. It's a lengthy process, especially when it comes to a health insurance topic. So be very patient, understand the pros and cons thoroughly, ask right questions to your consultant, and do your own research as well. More than doing your own research, whatever documents you get, coverage documents, kindly take little time to go through all that. I know language is always a barrier, but nowadays with a lot of tools, translation tools, I think it should not be a big problem. Just don't be too lazy in not looking into that document.
Okay. Yeah, I think at this moment, as you said, it's not such a difficult task to translate any document.
Correct.
However, if we do not look into it, there are enough pitholes or that can be not so nice in future.
Right.
Since you are dealing in this consultancy field and have dealt over this topic in the last 4 years with many clients, is it possible to share one or two small success stories from client's perspective where you found that, okay, the client is very happy and it has really benefited them making this switch?
So immediate benefit, which I can see, the story which comes into my mind is during pregnancy period. One of the client, there are a lot of tests which are not at all covered in public health insurance, is generally covered in private. Again, when I say private, there are 43 different companies, each having its own tariff. So you have to be very careful of which tariff you're choosing. So those were covered. And unfortunately, the kid went into ICU immediately after the birth. And some of the, treatment methods were not at all covered in public, were covered in private. And the kid has actually got this particular treatment with a huge bill, of course, which was directly taken care. There was a direct billing agreement with the private company and was completely taken care. And the kid is actually living a very healthy life as well. So that was one of the success story which happened in 2020 during COVID time. Yeah, that is something which I can think of. Right.
Since you spoke already about one of the success story that you had,
right,
I am pretty sure that in some of the cases it does not go as well as it is expected. So do you have some examples also of the failures, let's say? Or
right. No, yes, there are failures. Again, there is a dark side of everything. So one of the example which I can think of is one of the client with a certain company, very well reputed company, had some kind of knee emergency. Right, there is a fluid between both the bones. That fluid was suddenly leaked out because of heavy sport or whatever it is. And now that is considered as an accident case, not like a pre-existing condition or whatever it is. But in spite of being accident, this health insurance companies, by the way, there are a lot of notorious such companies in the market, has still not reimbursed. It's been more than one and a half year. Has still not reimbursed the complete bill of this particular patient, stating some lame reasons. In my opinion, I also see that particular lame reason as well. So the only way to stay protected against such kind of companies is ask your consultant whether there was, again, it depends on the honesty of the consultant as well, whether he's motivated to make a sale or motivated to help. Right? So, but then there are companies that way, they just try to work around and then say, yeah, this is not covered because of whatever XYZ reason, right? So this is one case which I can think of.
Okay, so that means it's also important to have sufficient knowledge, as we already spoke about this, and be aware of these predatory companies or people who pull you into the system, but then you cannot get out of it or get enough help.
Right. Once it is diagnosed as a chronic health disease, no other private companies will accept you. Then you're stuck with that company forever, right? So that's why claim ratios, settlement ratios are something which you have to really look into. It's not readily available in the market, unfortunately, because of data security and things like that. But then it's very important to ask such kind of examples where there is negative stories as well. And the other person should also be honest enough to give such examples as well. Right.
So one of the important questions that come to my mind is, or maybe also a lot of people here in Germany think about, why should I or anyone go to a financial consultant or people like you instead of doing the decision directly based on their feeling, or go to a company directly and then get the insurance?
Correct. So as per the law, every consultant is supposed to act in the interest of the client, not in the interest of the company. Right. So if I'm giving you any advice, it should be in your interest. Okay. And this is as per the law on the paper. How many people follow it, God knows. Okay. Right. That is one thing. Second thing is, say for example, if you are doing some kind of comparison on the online portal where everything is black and white, you think it is black and white. Unfortunately, a tabular comparison of an offer is never as per the law. It's never in conform with as per the law, because every insurance company has to give something, an offer which is in line with the law. It's called VVG, Versicherung, Vertragsgesetz, Confirm Angebot. That need to be given, and then a client should have maybe 2 or 3 offers and then sort of compare it that way. Of course, because of the language, it would be very difficult as well. That is where you can have a tabular comparison, but then you should always have an offer, a detailed offer, which is generally many pages long, but that is absolutely needed before you make a switch. That you need to go through that. That's what I mean.
Okay, so that means the person who is advising us will already have some inclination or is forced to help us as much as possible.
True.
And also has more experience on this topic.
Correct.
So we, of course, will get initial help when we sign the contract.
Right.
But these advisors, are they also supposed to help us in future when there are some conflicts?
As per the law, no. Okay. As per the contract, no. It's always the back-end support team which will actually take over with respect to any of the claims, etc. But a good advisor will, on a humanity basis, will sort of help you out if there is any kind of issues with respect to claim or whatever it is later. Yeah, that some people do, some people don't do. I know a lot of agents, they don't pick up your call later once the contract is signed, because they get certain time. I mean, yeah, let's be honest, it is related to commission, right?
Yeah,
there is a sort of hefty commission which is there in any private health insurance you make a sale, right? So again, it's depends. All humanity basis whether that person is willing to help you or not. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, now it's very clear, like from different perspectives how it works, and thanks for being very honest with this some of the tough questions, let's say. That I think we already have enough information with respect to the topic itself. What exactly is private, public, why should one switch, what are the benefits, disadvantages. All this being said, why should one who come to Germany as an expat should ever think of this topic itself, right? Like I can go ahead with my life without even having to think about this topic.
Correct.
I just keep on paying whatever is supposed to be paid, and it gets automatically deducted from my salary. I don't even recognize that something like this exists. So
yeah, so when you're new to Germany, ignorance is bliss.
Okay.
You don't care, you enjoy your life, enjoy the weather in Europe, generally in summer and winter, little crib about it to your friends, etc. But then later when life becomes very serious, after 35 generally I have seen, medical attention is something which you really need, and after 40 medical attention becomes very serious with respect to your health. Yeah, that time it actually makes so it starts hurting you for the decisions which you take in the engage. And thanks to people like you are actually spreading such kind of awareness videos, so hopefully who is watching this video is actually sitting with kind of 2 offers on the hand and analyzing whether it is the right thing or not, right? Yes, you need to be aware of it. Ignorance after some time is not bliss anymore when it comes to health.
Yeah, I totally resonate with what you exactly said, because I sometimes used to think like, why should I even think about this when my life is going perfect,
right?
But what I realized also from my personal experience is we have not seen what will come ahead in future.
Correct.
And that is where experienced people like you, who are ahead of the curve in terms of experience, age,
right,
have seen much more than us, and know these are the things that will come at some point or the other, and we can avoid it. And we have some advantage, according to me, from our age, because we are not the first ones to come to Germany. We have plus 5 to plus 10 years of older people who can help us and guide us on these topics, and not to make the same mistakes as the ones they did.
Right.
So
there's always two sides of the story. There are people who say public is much better system. I have no problem. Actually, I do believe as well public is a good system, but it's because of the costs, the situation, whatever it is. Unfortunately, it is not heading in the right direction. It is heading towards bankruptcy. Our social security system as a whole. Private is also good, provided you make a lot of checks as well. So both the side of the story I do respect. I think it's better that your viewers who are watching this video listen to it in a neutral manner, understand both the side of the story, and make a decision for themselves rather than letting somebody else making that decision for them.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, you summarized it pretty well. But in terms of, let's say, if you have to make two statements on when can it be beneficial to switch to private, that being, what I mean to say is, like, someone who is watching this video, in order to get a general feeling, like when it might be beneficial, even though it might not be, it depends on the individual case, as you said.
Right.
What could be a rule of thumb in this case?
Below 40, earning beyond the salary limit, which is eligible to come to private. Third thing is family situation, family planning, one kid or something like this, and spouse working. Right.
Okay.
So these are the 4 criteria I would say as a rule of thumb. Need not be, I mean, even with that, you might not satisfy, or private might not be good. But this is again individual cases, which we go a little bit deeper into conversation and then find out.
Okay, so what you mean to say is, if all these 4 criteria are met and you want to switch, it's usually beneficial.
Yeah, you can start thinking
about
not make a switch,
not
immediately.
Okay, perfect.
Right.
So thank you very much, Shiva. So
Thank you.
was a pleasure to have you. As I said, knowledge is also based on the experiences that you have, and not only based on where you are located at what point of time. So
right.
I think it was very wonderful to have you with a lot of examples from your personal experience, and I'm pretty sure all the viewers would have been benefited a lot by now and have this thinking already in the mind, and whenever the time is correct, they might look into more material resources or also get in touch with you. Right. That being said, let's say any of our viewers who want to get in touch with you for a personal personal appointment, how can they reach out to you?
So maybe I can pass on the number to you, and then you can put somewhere in the comment section or in the description section. Otherwise, I do have my own Instagram channel as well, Expat Wealth _DE. That is also one of the medium to get in touch with me.
Okay. Right. Yeah. Thank you very much once again for coming here all the way from Munich and sharing your experiences.
No
and
worries.
I'm pretty sure all of our viewers would definitely have been benefited up to a certain extent by watching this. And for more information, always it's advisable to look into more material, listen to experiences from a lot of other people as well, and not make a decision directly depending on a single person's opinion. So that's always advisable. So if you like this video, please share with all the other expats staying in Germany, so that there is some sort of awareness with regarding to this topic, and when the time is right, we can choose what is good for us. So until next time, see you guys. Bye bye.